What is good? We're live. We're up. Looks like maybe we're having a Twitter X issue here. See if that works. If not, all right, we'll see. Anyhow, how's everybody doing out there? Appreciate you guys. Chev, how you doing?
Oh man, all right, hold on. Let me do that again. Any day on this side of the dirt's a good one.
There you go.
I'm in the middle of someone arguing with me about Kenyon Sadiq and Eli Stowers on Reddit. So,
all right, well, we could talk about that. We could talk about that in a little bit. Today we're going to talk about some of the free agent stuff. We're going to talk about some fallout from free agency. Look at a mock draft and kind of see, hey, these free agent signings, how has this maybe affected the first round of the NFL draft? See where we think Jeremiah Love might go. Talk about Romeo Doubs and some other stuff we didn't get to on the Monday live. So, and we got some Patreon questions. I'm sure we'll answer some of your questions. So we got a lot of stuff to get to tonight. We're going to have some fun. That's the point of these live streams, to interact with y'all, have some fun, talk some ish. But you know, we got a hard hitting question to start with. When you're making a sandwich at home, what's the minimum amount of lunch meat slices that go on that thing?
Three.
I think that's the correct answer, right?
Yeah, that bare minimum. That's you said minimum.
The minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't, three seems like got to be the minimum. All right, now that we've solved the hard hitting questions, let's bring up a mock draft, and we're looking at the Pro Football Network here, and just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on how we think free agency has maybe impacted the first round, and the biggest one being sort of a Jeremiah Love. There was a lot of Scatterbo talk of maybe Kenny Walker. He goes to the Chiefs, and as we could see, Chiefs are picking at 9, Saints were picking at 8, both favorites to take a Jeremiah Love. They've kind of took the approach of, hey, we don't want to wait for that. We don't want to have to, hope that happens. We're going to solve our problem now. And they went and did it. So that opens their Pandora's box of different routes they can go in the draft. So, Chev, we could kick it off with who out of that top 6, 7 teams do you think Jeremiah Love is going to, or do you want him to go to? Obviously, you're a Titans fan, so what do we think?
You know the answer. You know the answer to this question unequivocally, automatically, systematically. Yeah. Ever since I woke up to the idea or the fact that the Titans weren't opposed to taking Jeremiah Love with the top 4, I have been levitating above the cement aisle. There's no greater franchise when it comes to running backs than the Tennessee Titans. Now, we don't get anything else right, but running backs, we can do running backs. So once I realized that was a possibility, I had been real bricked up about getting Caleb Downs right there, but it makes too much sense for where we are in Cam Ward's development arc to get him a reliable running back that can overcome some systematic or schematic issues, when it comes to creating on his own or being just a safety outlet. I mean, you've seen how good CMC has been for Brock Purdy. It's so good for a young quarterback. Hell, Eli Manning squeezed another year and a half out of his career because he just threw it to Saquon 6 times a game.
Yeah.
So I'm all about that. And then, we can get into, you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, I think Washington would be my preferred spot there, right?
No, I do not. I don't agree with you.
I would like to see that happen. That'd just be a whole lot of fun. I don't mind Tennessee. I kind of like what the possibility of building, at least over the last year or so, we've seen Washington be able to kind of kick the narrative of being just a completely inept franchise. Tennessee has to show me one time that we've kicked the inept franchise since Rabes has been out the door, right? So, that would be good. That would be good. But the Cardinals obviously bring in, Algier. So that kind of takes them possibly out of there at 3. The Jets are playing with Brees's money a little bit over there and franchise tag him. They probably shouldn't do it. And so, like you said, it leaves you with a Giants, Washington, a Tennessee, and yeah, hey, I could see it being the Giants easily. Still, there's already been some smoke there. Cam Scatterbo just keeps dodging shit,
That's right.
and continue to have his value stay ripe and juicy here. I guess that's a good question. There is like, how do you handle when there's that much speculation about a player in when we get into these free agencies and the drafts? Because I tend to try to not overreact to it, but in the Scatterbo category, there was a lot of smoke there, so it was getting hard to, kind of keep swatting it away and be like, no, I'm staying the course. I'm comfortable with him. With the RJ Harvey stuff, you kind of knew that Denver was going to bring in another running back. With the Giants, you weren't, it's a whole regime change, so we have no idea exactly what they're going to do. So is there a way that you kind of navigate through those waters?
The best thing they could do that we could do is just be a thermostat, not a thermometer. So obviously we had this discussion about RJ Harvey last week, and the sentiment was, we had, on the Twitter X and people all over the internet saying RJ Harvey's a massive sell. Look, they wanted to go sign Breece Hall. They wanted to go sign David Montgomery. If they signed David Montgomery, which we saw him end up going to Houston, that bolstered the capital for the Texans to get that deal done. If we wanted to go that route, cool. We go. I mean, that's fine. But the point is, you know that RJ Harvey's going to have a backfield running mate. You knew that if you understood the pattern of usage that has always followed with Sean Payton running back. Even with Alvin Kamara, he always had a running mate until Drew Brees aged out and he didn't have a running mate and he took most of the carries and was super inefficient with it. Still awesome, but that had more to do with his. Anyway, the point is there's always going to be a running mate with the preferred joker role or whatever in Sean Payton's offense. So with that being the case, you can't be too shocked. With Cam Scatterbo, that whole deal, we talked about it on the stream at some point, either last week or the week before. It didn't make a ton of sense to me because they've got 3 running backs under contract, 4 if you count Eric Gray. Shout out to Lausanne and Memphis. If you count Eric Gray, there's 4 running backs under contract. They've got 3 more years of control of Cam Scatterbo's contract, 2 more years of control of Tyrone Tracy, and 1 more year on Devin Singletary's 3-year, $24 million deal. So it didn't make a ton of sense for where they are in Jackson Dart's development arc to add a high priority free agent based on what they had going on. So I had this conversation with somebody else that was trying to lowball me for Scatterbo in a trade discussion. And my answer was, okay, if you don't want to pay what he's worth, then I will wait until football starts happening. And he is actively trying to concuss himself and he's worth way more than he is right now. And his rebuttal was, well, when Kenneth Walker signs there, he's going to be worth a fraction of what he's worth now. And well, as we can see, that did not happen. So I think like a lot of it is just copium, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a smart way to try to play things too. Like if you go through your league mates and you're going through the trade talks of just like, hey, if I feel comfortable with Scatterbo's ability, which is kind of how I always like to play these things for the most part. The Scatterbo one did have me a little concerned just because of the switch of ownership, or rather coaching.
Coaching and the GM, and basically John Harbaugh has
being the GM, power. Right? Yeah. So that one had me a little worried.
Yes.
But I usually just stay the course of just saying, hey, the talent is like, I think Josh Downs is a good example of that. That's not, we aren't necessarily looking for like, oh, these guys are going to get replaced or whatever, but like Josh Downs is a good example of that. Like, I just believe in the talent, so I'm going to just let the situation play itself out, right? And the value may go up and down and all around, but I'm okay with just hanging out. And Scatterbo, with the injury and then kind of some things changing, I did get a little worried, but again, what we saw on the field last year was great. The guy as a human, as a energy ball for the team, seems like everything they kind of need and want. It seems like he really should overlap with what Harbaugh kind of wants to do and bring an identity. And I think maybe after being in the building there and around him and Dart and those guys, maybe it was kind of like, all right, we're probably okay. Still doesn't clear us of maybe just maybe Jeremiah Love going to 5 to the Giants there. So still some risk involved there. What else has changed over the course of free agency for the first round of the NFL draft?
Well, I mean, do we want to talk about Duval? Are we going to go
Sure.
there?
Sure.
Is that what we're going to? Well, I mean, we
We
could.
can go there. I mean, obviously, this is putting Carnell Tate for the Saints. That's, suggesting that, hey, we don't need a running back anymore. That was a hot spot. So now this does open up for, kind of seems just a little redundant with Chris Olave and what his skill set can be, sort of, right? Like,
Well,
if you go back to college, I've kind of view those guys similarly, right? In
yeah,
what their role was at Ohio State.
yeah. I mean, Chris Olave is a target hog. If we're looking at what role Carnell Tate would probably play, it'd be closer to what Mike Williams was when Kellen Moore was with the Chargers. Kind of that deep downfield, big post, gonna win contested catches. He was the best receiver in terms of contested catch rate over the last 2 years in this draft. So with Carnell Tate, him landing in New Orleans is just kind of, to me, that seems like wheels up for everybody. Hey, I'm gonna have more room to operate with impunity because of defenses having to rotate a safety in the box, put 8 in the box, and now I have a running mate that's not Devon Bailey. I'm not counting on Juwan Johnson, which we love Juwan Johnson, but he can function more as a mismatch and a chess piece as opposed to somebody who's going to get 100 targets. But Carnell Tate and Chris Olave paired together, I think that's the makings of a dynamic duo in the mold of a lesser version of George and CeeDee Lamb or T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Obviously, the top end isn't as high, but, you can probably say that those guys would have similar outcomes to what T. Higgins has.
It feels like that would make some, sense for the Saints and in what they're building as an offense to add another playmaker outside of what Chris Olave did, of just being, just such a volume hog, finally, really opening up to what we all thought the potential was and could be. And obviously he stayed healthy for most of the season. So that's a big thing, right? So, all these people who get, this guy's glass, this guy's this guy's that. Like, yeah, sometimes it's unfortunate and sometimes it really is the case. A lot of the times it's really not. It's just some unfortunate circumstances. Chris Olave, like we did this with Keenan Allen for a while. Like Chris Olave might not ever have another super injury plague season for as long as we live. So like before we go labeling everybody as glass because they missed a game, they missed some time here or there. Like I feel like, obviously I'm a Niners guy. Ricky Pearsall has been named that. And it's just like, all right, man, he got shot one year and then he caught a bad knee injury where he landed on his knee and then just couldn't get back right. Like, let's see what happens this next season, right? And I feel like that's kind of all around the league. We see that. So I hate that. I'm very careful with that. And I just feel like it's just such a cop out for a lot of people of, just glass. It's like, all right, dude, let's have some critical thinking here about some stuff. But I know sometimes that's hard. At 9, you see the Chiefs in this particular mock take a tackle, which I don't think anybody would hate now that you've signed Kenneth Walker, but I think we want to see some more weapons there. But at the end of the day, Rashee Rice and Worthy and Kelsey can ride that offense. Offensive, and they brought Tyquan Thornton back, which low key is a very good play for them.
Okay, couple things to close the loop on Carnell Tate. I would say that we've got to go back to Brandon Cooks was in this exact same predicament years ago. Years ago, it was, hey, if he gets another concussion, man, he's probably gonna have to retire. And he's still playing football in the year of our Lord 2026. So let's just calm down. We do have baselines to go by here. So that, and then to me, this is a home run pick. If we're not going to get an offensive skill player, this shores up both of their tackles. Josh Simmons, their first round pick last year. Now Francis Mauigoa, who played on the right at Miami, coming in. A lot of people have him as the best, like one of the best tackle prospects of the last few classes. I know there's some concerns about whether or not he can actually play outside, but I mean, just he's a bulldozer. He's a people mauler, and he's a dancing bear with feet. Whatever you want to use to describe how good Francis Mauigoa is, he's going to be great for them on the right side of the line, kind of shoring things up, pairing with Trey Smith over there. And I mean, they instantly go to having one of the upper top 10 offensive lines in the league if this dude can play at all, between Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, Josh Simmons, and now Francis Mauigoa. So I would love that move if they're not going to take a skill position, which honestly I'm cool I'd actually prefer this because it creates less confusion from a fantasy perspective for their pass catchers.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, selfishly, I wouldn't mind seeing Jordan Tyson go to the Saints or the Chiefs here rather than, the Jets or somebody a little bit later. In this version, you see Lemon going to the Jets.
RIP to my AD Mitchell shares.
It seems like they've been hot and heavy on a receiver, which, hey, they could certainly do that. I don't think they need to do that. I think they could go other routes and do other things, but there is at least an okay quarterback there, right? Somebody who isn't just the absolute worst. I know Geno Smith was not good in Vegas last year. I don't know what would have been great in Vegas last year, right? As far as the way that offensive line was playing for a lot of the year, kind of what was going on in that bill. It just seemed like very disconnected, discombobulated, right? I think Geno's, I think this is at least a stock stabilizer for some of the Jets.
The truth, my old defensive coordinator used to say, nothing's as good as it seems, nothing's as bad as it seems, but somewhere in between, reality lies. And with Geno, we got the worst possible outcome in terms of not keeping him protected as a pocket quarterback and him just melting under pressure. The Jets have invested heavily into their offensive line in 2 of the last 3 classes, if I'm not mistaken, between Mimbu and Olufashanu, and I believe they have a young guy at center that's pretty good. I can't think of his name right now.
From Wisconsin, maybe.
Say that again.
From Wisconsin, maybe at the center.
I think so. I can't. His name. I'm just completely going blank on the name right now. So if somebody knows, just please throw it in the comments. But I think that they have enough.
Joe Tippmann.
Place. Yes, Joe Tippmann.
Josh Myers. Sorry.
Wait, Tippmann is a guy though. That's a
Tippmann
real.
Is a guy. Yeah, Tippmann's the guard. At least that was the quick Google search. I'm going to go to.
Yeah. So again, those are all young players that have hit. Mimbu was one of the best graded. He was the best graded run blocking tackle in the draft last year. Olufashanu was not Joe Alt, and that's why people forget about him, but he was a really good player that went after J.C. Latham. I don't have to get into that right now, but the thing is, I think that this could be better than what people think, and they could play themselves out of the number 1 overall pick because Geno wins a few games that he's not supposed to win because they've got a fully unlocked version of Garrett Wilson with him. I think that's the biggest takeaway here is that Geno with Garrett Wilson is the best quarterback not named Aaron Rodgers, old man Aaron Rodgers, that he's ever had.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm with you there. All right. Anything else in this first round that you see big shakeups with here before we move on?
Oh man,
Sadiq to the Eagles. Jordan Tyson to the Browns in this particular mock.
Oh, I hate Jordan Tyson to the Browns so much.
Yeah,
like nobody wants one of the receivers. I've seen Denzel Boston get mocked there as well, and I hate that too. I just don't want. I don't want them to go there and just have to get Garrett Wilson for the first 3 years of their career because they're trying to figure out the quarterback thing.
Yeah.
So that's uncomfortable for me. But Kenyon Sadiq to the Eagles could be really interesting.
Certainly could be fun. Any other big changes from like a free agency perspective from kind of the first or second round of the draft that you feel they have changed some things? What do you got?
You know me. I have been pounding the table for Romeo Doubs. And he gets to go he's paid at least to be Drake May's number one target, the go-to guy. I've said that his skill set is super underrated, and I've said this now on probably 3 or 4 different shows. He only got double-digit targets 6 times in his entire tenure in Green Bay, and that led to him averaging in those games 104 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, and he averaged 15 yards a catch. He's capable of so much more than what it alludes to, but fantasy brain, people are like, well, he's never been more than a wide receiver 3 overall. He's wide receiver 36 is his best finish. This dude is better at football than that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's Diggs going to Buffalo and getting fully unlocked, but we could see some similar results if he's going to get 120 targets. He's great at the catch point. He's a detailed route runner. He's bigger than what you think, and he's good in the red zone. I don't know why people aren't more excited about it, but I'm really excited about Romeo Doubs going to New England.
Yeah. So I think there's, it's is it time to, hey, we've got a little bit of stock potential increase here in kind of what Romeo Doubs, he's moved, there should be some opportunity, but should we just be selling high because we don't think that the opportunity and what he is as a player is basically going to pan out to be super duper fantasy relevant every week?
I think it will be.
You think he will be? And we'll see kind of what the Patriots do in the draft, what they add for, that receiving group. But in general, it's not a super scary group where, anybody is really necessarily there to take a ton away from Romeo Doubs. Maybe Kyle Williams' role ascends a little bit. Butte was better. I mean, Hunter Henry's always a solid player, right? But there's nothing there that's, and maybe they do add AJ Brown. Maybe they do. But I'm with you. I think Romeo Doubs is better than what we've seen from a whole standpoint. There's been times where we zoom in, like you said, where he's very good, very productive player. Excuse me. But is it no more than just basically wide receiver 2 numbers is our best outcome for Romeo Doubs? Or do you think that there's more there? I think that there's potentially more there for what we could get out of Romeo.
I mean, the ceiling outcome obviously is what some equivocation of what Stephon Diggs did his first couple years in Buffalo. Like, I think he's that good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seemed ridiculous when Stephon Diggs went to Buffalo. You had people talking about how not good he was. So to me, it doesn't make a ton of sense. It doesn't make a ton of sense for me to say, oh, well, yeah, it's just way too crowded. It's just like it was in Green Bay. No, I mean, I think he's better than that. I've been on record saying that a lot. So I see we got the trade question up there. I mean, it depends on what your what your wide receiver situation is. If I'm a little thin, I'm just gonna keep the 204. But like if I'm contending and that he's gonna be like my wide receiver 4, somewhere along those lines, that just gives me excellent depth, because I think that's what he's gonna be. He's gonna be a guy that you end up forcing into your lineup and being really, really having some tough decisions to make and saying, hey, I've got this extra piece. So if that's the case, then yeah, give me Romeo Doubs.
Yeah, if you're looking at 2-4, here's 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4. Like, these are just crowdsourced rankings for the rookies currently. You're looking at like somebody like a Chris Bell or a Jadarian Price, Surratt. I mean, I like Jeremy Bernard quite a bit. So there's some options with some fun upside there for sure. I think Romeo Doubs has plenty of fun upside. We look at Green Bay and, it's really hard to, is Jaden Reed probably being held back by being a Green Bay Packer? Yes. Right. Yes. And it's just how they call offense, right? We always talk about this with, you say Arthur Smith's a terrorist, and, can kind of limit and hold down some things of how they're calling stuff. But is LaFleur not kind of in the same vein of like, he can definitely, because of the way they go about spreading the ball around and using a bunch of different people and not really featuring any one player outside of maybe you were starting to see it with Tucker Kraft a little bit. Yeah. And now you could say that's because the talent isn't any good, but I don't believe that. Like, I think Romeo Doubs is a good player. I think he's more of a 2 than a 1, but this is his opportunity here, I think. So I think to answer my own question would be like, I'm okay with selling him if you're getting somewhere in the high 2s. But for the most part, if I've got a good team and he's, like you said, my 3 or 4, I'll hold on to him, because I think what he can do and what he could be for you is a solid wide receiver 2 week to week with a wide receiver 1 floor or the wide receiver 1 ceiling. And that's just because I believe in the player a good bit. So
yeah. I mean, I think he's much better at real football, and that's going to end up translating for fantasy in the vein of targets. And I can get having this new shiny toy that now has, some value and wanting to sell for the 204. Mm-hmm. But come football time, I think he's going to outperform that draft slot quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm when points are being scored, the points scored for what I think he's going to offer is probably a little greater than what the 2-4 value potentially could be. There's just a lot more potential of upswing and lottery kind of stuff with that 204 pick. But I would.
I'll say this.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good.
If it's Mike Washington, I'll go Mike Washington.
If it's okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I got you. All right, let's do a couple swipes on Romeo here. Let's bring it back in. Romeo Doubs or Tua?
Romeo
or Terry?
Oh, Terry.
Okay. Romeo or Mac Jones?
Mac Jones. Who?
Oh, you're going Mac on that one. All right.
Yeah. Mac is gonna go somewhere and get a bag in 2027.
All right. This is right in line. Chris Brazel or Romeo Doubs? I'm taking Romeo.
I'm taking Romeo.
That's kind of a Chuba or Romeo.
Chuba.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
I think that's like similar points potentially for those two guys.
If Romeo does what we think he's gonna do, and Chuba has the backfield to himself again, I go Chuba. But if Jonathan Brooks is a thing, then you got to go Romeo.
Romeo or Derrick Henry? I mean, lineup wise, it's probably Henry.
Yeah. If you're a contender, you go Derrick Henry 10 out of 10. I don't care what your wide receiver situation is.
It's so hard for me to rank guys like Derrick Henry, right? And what to do. Like it's so circumstantial.
Yes. Fun fact. Derrick Henry needs to average 1,300 yards for the next 4 seasons to break the all-time rushing record.
Yeah.
And he's an actual. Let's go ahead and swipe. Let's go ahead and hit Derrick Henry. Come on.
All right. All right. Mike Evans or Romeo Doubs?
Doubs.
All right. Jalen Coker or Romeo?
Nervous.
Romeo Doubs or Jalen Coker?
Romeo Doubs.
That chat is asking Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs?
Doubs.
Swift or Doubs?
Damn. Boy.
Tough question there.
These are tough.
Hey guys, you know what that's starting to mean is that means that we're as a community building some good rankings here, and that we could start being able to trust these crowdsourced rankings more and more, because that's just telling us that the slots that these guys are starting to slot in are being around where they should be. Now we've seen Romeo on the rise here over the last little bit here. We could see if we go back to the other screen, he's up 20 some spots. But that's good. But tougher questions, meaning, hey, that means these guys are slotted in the right spot. I'm going to go with Swift on that one. All right, Michael Penix or Romeo Doubs? Last one on this one. Superflex.
Give me Captain Durag.
All right. Ooh, there was Likely and Doubs on that one.
I'm glad you hit the button right then.
All right, there were some people in the chat asking some questions. We will get to some of those. I know there was way back up at the top. Need some thoughts on the C-Rod signing. What does it mean for Tootin and Allen backfield when Jacksonville, when you get to the show? So I think that's a good place to go from here. That's obviously another signing that happened today. Chev, what's your general thoughts on what the Jags did there and what C-Rod means for Tootin in the backfield?
So it almost certainly means that they're not going to spend significant capital on day 1 or day 2 in the backfield. So we got C-Rod. He's probably going to be the inside the 5 guy. What we wanted was for Tootin to be the inside the 5 guy and to be able to catch some passes, and LaQuinn Allen to come in and mop up duty. If he's lost that, then Tootin probably becomes a primary pass catcher with LaQuinn Allen coming in pass protection situations. And so he's the between the 20s guy that's got explosive ability. But, Romeo Doubs is – not Romeo Doubs. Chris Rodriguez – sorry, the R's messed me up there – is going to be the goal line guy. So for best ball, he could be sneaky valuable because I think that's going to be a really good offense again. The issue is we get a little bit of a break in terms of Tootin's value. I just really, really believe that this is what we needed to stay in on Basil Tootin and keep the price from going too damn high. The rent was about to be too damn high for Basil Tootin. And we all know it. We've been talking about it for a while. So I think this is good. I think it insulates Tootin a bit because we're not going to get any. I don't think we're going to get any more backfield competition. I do think Tootin is a better running back right now today than C-Rod is, but C-Rod is so big and physical that he's going to have that role. So yeah, that's kind of where I land. We talked about that a little bit, via text message. I didn't want it to come across as me saying Tootin was dead in any way, shape, or form. I was pissed because I thought Tootin was going to be the goal line guy. Because he had it over ETN last year.
Right. They oddly kind of use those guys in that fashion, or at least it seemed. I don't know what the numbers reflected from what I recall. That's kind of what I remember is like Tootin kind of coming in short yardages and goal line situations, which was odd to me in general. So you bring C-Rod in. For me, this is, I don't want to give either one guy too much credit. Rodriguez was good when he got used, right?
Yes.
I think he's a solid NFL running back.
Yes.
So it gives him, okay value, I think, because I do think he'll have some short yardage and, offers a different skill set than the two guys that they have back there. So it does kind of signal to me that maybe they're kind of done bringing in other guys. Maybe there's some even cheaper guys brought in for depth or whatever. But it doesn't scream to me that, hey, we're going to go back into the draft and draft somebody or do anything else crazy. So I think that for me at least sets up Tootin that if Tootin's as good as we think he is, that he can grab a hold of an opportunity here and be the man. It doesn't mean that the coaching staff won't use Rodriguez anymore, but he'll get way more opportunity than if they had brought in, if ETN had stayed, right? Or if they brought in another bigger name or they invested some bigger capital in another running back, right? Right now, he just has to thwart that Rodriguez being a bigger role than just maybe some short yardage and some goal line stuff, which can certainly hamper some ceiling with the goal line stuff. But if Tootin can be just the undeniable guy with the juice, at least we've seen from the coaching staff, they're willing to use one guy mainly. Now, Rodriguez kind of comes in and, hey, this gives us a crutch to start the season using both of them maybe a little more equally and see kind of what happens, right? It gives them options, opportunities. All their eggs aren't in one basket, which I didn't think any way, shape, or form that they were going to come into the league, into the season with just Tootin in the backfield. But this is almost the best case scenario that Chris Rodriguez comes there for me and the Tootin.
Yeah, without question. So I just want Basil Tootin shares to not be dead and not be too expensive to get into the Tootin business prior to the draft or the season starting. So now, I mean, they could completely throw a curveball and, trade some more future capital and go trade up and do something, and acquire someone that kind of throws a monkey wrench in everything that we're thinking right now. But as of right now, I think this is good for all parties involved. I mean, they were identical in missed tackles forced per attempt. We saw Chris Rodriguez be effective in both types of concepts. He was at 4.46 yards a carry in gap schemes and 4.6 total in zone schemes. So we saw him be effective as a runner. I think that this is just them, Liam Cohen doing the whole two-back thing again. And unless one of them just absolutely comes in and shows out, we'll have a little bit of a headache that caps the ceiling, but it's going to raise the profile of Chris Rodriguez because he's basically, I mean, I bet you might be able to still go get him off of waivers in some shallower leagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I like this for Tootin. This gives me a little bit more confidence. I think it's going to give the consumer a bit more confidence on him. So I think his stock goes up even more and stays probably pretty strong. It does set up for a little bit of disappointment for some Tootin owners if Rodriguez comes in there and looks, it might not all be on Tootin. If Rodriguez comes in there and looks good and fits this scheme all right, and let's not forget LaQuinn Allen is, a great, he looked very good in any pass pro moments, and he's great out of the backfield. He's one of the best pass catchers coming out of the draft last year, basically almost as kind of a slot receiver, kind of big, long player. So I'd like to see him get a little bit more opportunity. But now they've got this trifecta of players who all can operate a little differently. Who gets the pass game work is, if Tootin can kind of lock a little bit more of that down, that could offset some of the maybe goal line stuff that he could potentially lose to Rodriguez, right? And so I think that would be a huge part of this. Let's get a couple of Tootin swipes in here before we move on. We got some other questions in here we'll get to. All right, we got Basil Tootin or Quentin Johnston. Basil Tootin coming in right now at RB23 in the Crowdsourced tight end premium ranking. That's pretty solid. Yeah, pretty solid.
That's aggressive. But it's a little weird, but I'm into it. Yeah. Give me Tootin.
We got Tootin, and Johnston to have rebounded and be up in this area has been awesome to see him kind of put the past away and step back from that ledge, my friend. Yeah. He's been great. There's been a little bit of rumor of maybe the Chargers trying to trade him, but I think he gives the Chargers something that they don't have. So I don't know where that rumor came from or what it kind of meant. But I mean, you putting him in a Mike McDaniel offense, he was awesome last year. You put him in this off, he could be ridiculous on some, big play efficiency kind of numbers.
Yeah. I mean, back-to-back
the better lottery pick here, though.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, back-to-back 8 touchdown seasons. I don't have anything. AJ Brown, but I don't have anything.
AJ Brown or Tootin.
Yeah, AJ Brown.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have anything negative to say about Quentin Johnston at this point. Just can we get him? Can we create more opportunity? Like, what can we create more opportunity for Quentin Johnston? And I think the answer is no. So he's capped from a fantasy perspective, but it could be. I mean, he could re-roll and turn into this year's Alec Pierce.
He was on his way. Look, he had plenty of huge plays last year, but yeah, I'm with you. Basil Tootin or a 27 early second.
Wow.
That seems like kind of right on the money right now.
Yeah.
Because of how, considering an early second right now in 27, probably close to a late first right now, which is I think that's where I would lay the Tootin value, right? Do you want a Mike Washington or a Jonah Coleman, or do you want to go in with Tootin? I think that's the kind of the question that you ask yourself right now.
I'd go Tootin. Also, let me address this real quick.
Go ahead.
Mike Washington's only 22 years old. Next.
All right. And it says Tootin is 24 here, just so that you know. But Tootin hype is becoming another Zamir White.
That's tough, man. I understand what you're doing here. I don't agree with it, but I understand. I understand it. Because I mean, we got some good signal from Zamir White his rookie year, and that was a complete throwaway in terms of what they had going on. So I understand. I cashed out of the Zamir White sweepstakes as quickly as I possibly could. You could do that with Basil Tootin, but he's in a totally different environment with a much better play caller, much better offensive line, much better quarterback. Everything's a lot more static than it was for Zamir White.
That's exactly right, Chev. To put the bow on that point right there that's exactly where I would have went with that of environment is just plus. And yeah, maybe Jacksonville does go, back down. They really peaked. Maybe they peaked in general, but even them going back down a little bit is way better than what Zamir White had to work with. And it just felt like that was kind of a Fugazi anyway, where I don't feel the same way as Tootin. There's just some unknown there. So you could kind of go with either you could kind of, I can understand where you're coming from with that comp, but like what we saw from Tootin and his abilities, and I think the public's hype machine, all that stuff helps in the relative value of Basil Tootin and like you said, environment being the biggest.
Yes. That's the bet that you're making. No one we're betting on the traits, the athletic traits of Tootin. Give me Tootin over Jadarian Price.
All right.
You're betting on the athletic traits. His birthday is July 3rd, 2003. His mom commented in one of the videos that I was a part of and confirmed his birthday. So let's just put that to rest now.
He's 22 years old.
Yeah.
Well, he will be 22 years old.
He'll be 23.
He'll be 23. Okay.
July 3rd, 2003 is his birthday.
Gotcha. Okay. So
for anybody
Player
wondering.
Profiler says Mike Washington's almost 23. That would be accurate then.
Yes.
So yes, he is almost 23. But hey, Tootin or Derrick Henry?
It's going to be really hard for me to.
We're just going to take Derrick Henry there because that's just a really tough question. All right. Javonte Williams or Bajal Tootin? I'm taking the safety in Javonte.
Yes.
J-Mo or Bajal Tootin?
J-Mo.
J-Mo. DeAndre Swift or Bajal Tootin? You got an age gap there, but you also have Swift going back to Chicago. I don't think they're going to really do much in the running back room.
Right.
Both environments are plus. Chicago did just lose their center, which is a big deal.
Yeah. I'll go Tootin there then.
You're right. You got you. Who you going? You going Tootin?
Yeah.
That's a tough one, man.
It's really tough.
All right, Tootin, or this is a good springboard into another conversation. Tootin or the newly acquired DJ Moore?
Oh, I would break my finger smashing except on a trade for Tootin.
For Tootin over Moore?
Yes.
All right. Or Jonah Coleman or Tootin?
Right now, it's Tootin in a month. When I know where Jonah Coleman's playing football, I go Jonah Coleman.
Yeah, I took Jonah Coleman there.
But
I think it could be Tootin. All right, Jaden Higgins, who we both love, or Tootin. I slight edge to Higgins for me, but
slight.
Tootin's probably a better lottery pick, but damn, Jaden Higgins could be that too.
You just can't create a path to alpha volume for Jaden Higgins. That's my only issue.
Yeah. Let's take a
I'm assuming you would have gone T. Higgins there.
Yeah, I would have went T. Higgins. It was T. Higgins or let's take a look quickly at some ADP for these players real quick. Wrong spot. I wanted to see where Tootin kind of was lying before all this happened and see where maybe we see him kind of ending up here. Let's look at the ADP board. Let's bring that up on the screen. Let's go running back only. Let's zoom it back out a little. Sorry, guys. All right, we got all 12 in here. Bajal Tootin was coming in here at 11-10, right? So after Woody Marks, after Blake Corum, after Trey Benson, he's passing all those guys. He's passing Jaylen Warren, right?
Yeah. With the Rico news, yes.
He's passing Kyle Monangai.
Yes. He was always ahead of Kyle Monangai for me.
Okay. We just kind of were mulling over DeAndre Swift. That's at 8-12.
Right.
And then Travis Etienne and Javonte and RJ Harvey. So for me, I like all three of those guys better than Tootin. So 7-12, 7-10, 7-9. I do think that Travis and RJ's stock moves up a little bit here, but I do think 7th round, late 6th, Tootin is where we're going to settle in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that he should be. You're going to be battling that spot right there for DeAndre Swift is where he's going to end up, without a doubt, to me.
Yeah. So we've got this ADP board that is in the works here. We should have it released to the public here rather soon, so that you could have that for your pleasure. All right, let's go back here. All right, DJ Moore. Somebody in the questions asked, any faith in DJ Moore, wondering what I should sell during training camp or camp hype or hold him as my wide receiver 4. And then let's answer this question real quick. Fantasy Football Meatball, he said, if you don't have Kyron, would you take Tootin over Corum?
Yes.
I think regardless if I have either, I'm just taking Tootin right now. Yeah. No slight on Corum. Corum.
No shade to Michigan great national champion Blake Corum, but I'll take Tootin.
All right, let's look at DJ Moore here for a minute because we haven't talked about him on any of these shows. We haven't talked about the trade, and we also really haven't talked about the Chicago Bears at all from him leaving, from the flip side of that, right? So what do you see with DJ Moore here kind of moving forward with Josh Allen and company.
I firmly believe that Joe Brady just hates outside wide receivers. I mean, you saw the precipitous fall of Stephon Diggs and his targets when Joe Brady took over. And I think that people are going to be very disappointed with what happens in Buffalo with DJ Moore this year. I have a terrible feeling about it. Like, I haven't researched it, but basically just going back to his time in Carolina, he just doesn't use, like, DJ Moore was fine. I think he put up 1,100 yards with, I think not one of the Clausens, but a bunch of Jags at quarterback, like Kyle Hogan or Kyle Allen, not Kyle Hogan. Yeah, just a bunch of regular guys at quarterback, and he just does nothing. He does nothing for wide receivers. They said they were going to use Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman has been absolutely garbage, and Keon Coleman might be bad at football, but I don't think Joe Brady helps. So I'm really cautious. I think that if you could sell for an early 2, I would do that. I sent an offer to one of my league mates today, see if I could sneak the 201 because he's got Josh Allen to get him to stack with DJ Moore, and they just gave him a little bit more guaranteed money so you can have a little bit more confidence. But I want to get out of that. I want to get off that ride as quickly as possible.
Well, right now we're in the FFDynasty.com crowdsource superflex tight end premium rankings here. We're seeing DJ Moore with some big movement after that trade, up 44 spots, coming in at 98 overall. That's putting him around Omar Cooper. That's putting him around a 26 late first. That's putting him around Daniel Jones, RJ Harvey, Eli Stowers, Denzel Boston. You would take the out for any of those?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good look. He could go out there and absolutely
slaughter it, and I will come on here and I will capitulate and admit how wrong I was and talk to you guys about how dumb I am, and you can roast me in the comments, but I just don't believe in Joe Brady and his usage of wide receivers. I don't do it. I don't.
I have to kind of agree here, right? I do think he can fit into what Joe Brady, people learn and grow and do things. I do think he can fit into really well with how Joe Brady does call an offense. But is there going to be enough volume week over week to sustain what we're talking about here? And kind of 98 wide receiver 33. If I could get out for this price right here, I don't think I mind doing that. Tootin's right next to him.
Yeah.
Give me Tootin. We just talked about swapping him for Tootin. And, like I said, so this is kind of telling us that there's a bunch of those later first round guys kind of hanging around where DJ Moore is. I think the talent of DJ Moore is awesome. I think he's a great receiver. I don't love the situation, and I don't have a lot of faith in Joe Brady. So I'm kind of with you there. This person, Andrew, he asked Emeka Egbuka or Garrett Wilson.
Give me Garrett Wilson.
And then somebody earlier asked your thoughts on Emeka Egbuka. I'm trying to find where these guys kind of are here. I think we just went too far. Garrett Wilson's coming in at 37. Egbuka's coming in at 40. So they're kind of right neck and neck with each other. Egbuka's been up a little bit. Garrett Wilson down a little bit. I think the Geno news at least stabilizes Garrett Wilson. Like, we have an adult in the room that can keep the target volume pretty high. We'll see if they bring another player in as far as a high-end wide receiver. To me, that's a pretty even split. Like, I think Emeka Egbuka probably caught too much flack at that back half of his rookie season because of how good and how hot it started, and like people got maybe a little over their skis. But now he's been there for a season. Baker also got hurt down the stretch, and none of that Bucs offense was nearly as good as it was in that first, third of the season. We kind of saw everything fizzle out for them. Mike Evans is now gone. Egbuka steps in there. I think you still have got a very good, complete offense here. You got Egbuka, you got Godwin, you have Jalen McMillan. You also have Tez Johnson, who can come in there and, show you that he can give you reps, right?
Cameron Johnson as well.
This is I think I like Garrett Wilson better as a player. Slightly.
Garrett Wilson's going to command more targets, and I think he's a little bit more dynamic with the ball in his hands than Ibuka. So that's why it's close enough to where I think I would just rather roll with Garrett Wilson and him potentially just commanding 160 targets from a competent quarterback. I know Geno led the league in picks, but it's not a representation of what he is, because he was just in a completely broken environment. So I'd go Garrett Wilson.
He says much risk on the knee injury for Garrett Wilson.
No.
I don't, obviously I'm not in those rooms. I don't know whose knee's doing what or anything like that. But a lot of the times, in a lot of cases, the injured knee comes back stronger than the other knee, where we're at right now with a lot of sports medicine stuff. Now, it doesn't mean there can't lead to soft tissue stuff, calves, hamstrings on your first rodeo kind of back with that. That's fairly normal. As just because of strain and it's not used to it, but doesn't mean that it's necessarily, going to be a long-term problem. That might just be you came back too quick or, whatever it is. But no, I don't really carry that concern too much. So all right, let's jump into a couple of more things that have happened since we last saw you guys. Algier was a topic of conversation from some people earlier. We haven't really talked. I think we talked about that on the Patreon side of things, but we didn't really talk about it on the public. We got cut short on sort of that live stream. So Algier signs with the Cardinals. It's a 2-year deal. They gave him decent, okay money, right? They restructured Connor, which maybe he could still be cut potentially. But it seems like if you're going to go through all the public announcement of restructuring, that he's going to hang around, right? And this just puts Trey Benson in a weird position in general where, what are we doing right now? So thoughts on the Cardinals backfield?
This feels really I'm confused by all of this. We were a little down. We were a little down on James Conner coming off the injury. Then they go and give Tyler Algier a nice little bag. But now I really got to parse through my feelings on this, because if James Conner's healthy, I think James Conner's a better player still than Tyler Algier. But Tyler Algier he's been effective in just about he's just been effective. But I feel like he's just a poor man's James Conner. So they're Spider-Man memeing, and then Trey Benson is Spider-Man memeing with Caleb Johnson. Like, it's the 50 Cent meme. What did he say fuck me for?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. What did Trey Benson do to piss them off that bad to where he can't get a shot? He can't stay healthy, and then he can't get a shot and stay on the field at all. Him and Marshawn Lloyd are just like, guys, I promise you I can play football. I promise.
Yeah, the Benson, just burying is tough, man, because, you had a regime change, and then they bring in Algier, and it's like, all right, well, hey, maybe Connor's out of here. Maybe this is a year we see if we can get something out of Benson. It's kind of a rebuild throwaway year, and we see what we got, and then we either move on or we say, hey, we got something here. And it doesn't look like they're going to get that. And it looks like they're just going to march forward with Algier, Connor, and Benson, all three. We got a LaFleur in the house. He's kind of been all around the league now at this point, and, should, in general, Kendre Miller, first time, Kendre Miller, same thing. Yeah. I think we've seen some Kendre Miller here or there where it goes, oh man, damn, if this could be a thing where we could get him a decent amount of touches, he could be a thing. But we haven't quite got there. So, tough sledding there for Trey Benson. Right. So the Algier side of things, right now we're looking at him at 118 right here. That's probably a little too pricey for me. Is it just Algiers backfield? That's where I struggle to say, hey, they paid him kind of enough to be that way. Just, I got a hard time believing, like you said, if James Conner's available and around like that, they're not going to just kind of nuke each other a little bit. If this value can come down some and we can get off of 118, we can get away from guys like Swift and, maybe even potentially like a Wandale and Jadari. Like if we could get away from these guys and these guys could cannibalize each other's value a little bit, I think both Connor and Algier could become potentially very valuable for your fantasy team because nobody's going to give a shit and they're going to kind of but one or the other will probably eventually come out as the victor, whether it's injury or what have you, that gets a decent run at some point through the season. So I just think it's really muddy. I think it's really tough. Unfortunately, I feel like you kind of lost the potential for a springboard for Algier.
Yeah.
So I think
you're gonna have to place your bet blind and then hope that it plays out. Hope that it plays out in your favor. Hopefully we can get some sort of signal in training camp about how they want to deploy, or if they're gonna move on from James Conner and kind of clear the runway for Tyler Algier, then this would be, I read that. I don't even want to respond to this because
I remember this exact conversation. Like, I was like, maybe Pittman will get cut. I don't know why they would do it, and they cut him. Good job. But I've said Willis to the Dolphins as soon as the regime changed. So let's pump the brakes on that one. Thank you.
Like I said, I've been saying that they could get rid of Michael Pittman for $5 million in dead cap, and they have Alec Pierce. They had Alec Pierce and Adonai Mitchell. I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. So I don't really understand.
I told you that the signal that AD Mitchell got meant they were bringing back Alec Pierce. So
I told you that when Alec Pierce was just a youth and he was an Eagle Scout, that he would be the number one option in this Colts offense in 2026. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not just some guy. I invented the piano key necktie.
That's right. I have been buying Willis to the Miami Dolphins since the guys from Green Bay got there. And
Big Co would have a conniption if he read that right now.
Yeah. But I appreciate you, and I know you're around a lot, and I love that you like the show, and I love that you contributed. And you did, hey, good for you. You did say I probably was more skeptical than not of cutting Pittman just because I think Pittman's a good player. And now I am kind of looking around at that Colts room being like, well, how does this go? We're going to get there in a second. Let's finish our thoughts up on Algier here. Yeah. Any closing thoughts here?
Yeah, place your bet. If you want to. There were a lot of people in some of the comments of a short that we did saying that Tyler Algier is far superior. Far superior to Rico Dowdle, far superior, which I am not of that opinion, but there's a Tyler Algier hive out there. And so this is your time to shine. Go make all of your bets on Tyler Algier to command that Cardinals backfield. And let's just, barbecue or mildew. We'll see which one happens.
That's right. Algier or Matthew Stafford?
Well, damn. Give me Stafford. I don't really know.
I like Algier. I gave Algier the nod as being the best one out of those guys, but
he's been saying that ever we dropped the Kenneth Walker short that starts off with me saying shut the fuck up and watch Kenneth Walker play football. Yeah. So he's done that in the comments like 3 times now.
I love it. But I agree. I don't where Algier was priced right now in the crowdsource. I don't love that price tag.
Yeah, so it's gotten real expensive because everybody started paying attention to the fact that he was going to be a free agent, and now we're going back to the 1,000 yards and 3 touchdowns season and saying that is who Tyler Algier is, which 1,000 yards and 3 touchdowns is poor man's version of Najee Harris, but that's neither here nor there. But I would just say that if this is what you've been waiting on, you kind of got what you wanted. Maybe, potentially, possibly, it could be that Tyler Algier is a sneaky buy, and we're all just completely wrong, and we should be on the train with you guys. And I'll admit, if that's what happens, then I'll admit that.
Stafford or Algier?
Algier
or Tootin, where I think we're all going Tootin.
Yeah.
Algier or Jonah Coleman?
Jonah Coleman.
I think Algier early second.
Early second.
Chris Bell or Algier?
Chris Bell.
Ooh.
I love Chris Bell.
You do love Chris Bell. All right. Let's lock that up. Let's go. Shane, who was our Nostradamus on the Colts a few months ago, he said is Josh Downs getting on the field in 2 wide receiver sets now. So we haven't really covered the Colts a whole lot in this kind of them trading Pittman, right? Which, by the way, he was traded, not cut. Didn't see that coming, did you, Shane? Where were you on that one, dipshit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, we're kidding.
Shane is. No, I know what it is. This is Ricky Scoops' burner. This is what that is. I know, Shane. I know. I'm familiar with your game, Ricky Scoops. Nice trying to throw us off the scent there, buddy. I know what's going on here.
So we have Pittman gone, right? So that leaves us with a void of kind of who's the de facto kind of one, which I think the whole time Pittman was actually a de facto kind of 2, but operates as that possession guy, right?
Yeah.
So what does happen with Downs? What does happen with Pierce, right? They paid him some money. There was some 8 to 10 targets a game speculation, which you can't just make up a number and say that's the speculation. But it almost, or do they is there another piece that gets added to this puzzle? Is Elijah Surratt somebody who comes in there and is, stays in the state of Indiana and, comes in here and gives you Michael Pittman vibes, right?
That's a good point. I can't imagine them rolling into week 1 with Alec Pierce and Josh Downs. And I believe what was my man's name? Ashton Doolin as the big 3 there. I can't imagine them doing that. So I think that they don't have a first round pick though.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a first round pick. So they're going to have to get active. They have to get active in day 2. So, I mean, Elijah Surratt could be in play there. If Denzel Boston slides a little bit, he could be in play there. There's so many different options. And the thing about Josh Downs is he's only been relegated to just being used in the slot. I think he can do a little bit more than that. So it'll be interesting to see the archetype of wide receiver that they add, and that'll change kind of my opinion on whether or not Josh Downs is going to be out there in 2 wide receiver sets. I just think it's bag season for Josh Downs too. We can't underrate that.
Yeah, and Reggie Wayne has stayed giving him all sorts of flowers.
Yeah.
Josh Downs, it is.
Yeah.
And Alec Pierce was, our P Whopper King from our guy Joseph, if you followed us all off season long or all in season long. So kind of what value are you placing on Pierce? He's at 92 right now, superflex tight end premium in the crowdsource rankings. That's putting him around guys like a DJ Moore, like an RJ Harvey, wide receiver 31. Parker Washington's down here at 34.
Whew.
Omar Cooper's at 32. How are we placing? Are we getting out of the Alec Pierce business if we can? Because for so long we've kind of beat the drum of like, hey, this guy's actually a good receiver. So are they about to do nothing and he's about to be such a bigger role, or does this all just get distributed around? Tyler Warren stock up, Don stock up, and Pierce maybe stock slightly up.
I didn't even mention Tyler Warren, but
this is lovely for Tyler Warren if nothing else happens.
Yes. So
he's Pittman now.
Yeah, I think we can get out of the Alec Pierce business for a serious profit, and I can live with the results if I'm wrong. And I've been saying to acquire Alec Pierce for quite some time now. Alec Pierce and Adonai Mitchell were the guys that I was trying to buy
for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a 10-team league.
Bin shape shopping is very lucrative. If like Naylor right now is that guy that just had to come up, and we'll talk about him in a second. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You were echoing the same sentiment that we're saying. Hey, be early to this party because it costs nothing, and then it could get real expensive, and you could walk away with a profit. And I think that's where we are with Alec Pierce. I'd be fine if they're going to truly target him 8 to 10 times a game. Then we're talking 180 targets for a guy who has a 15 or 16 ADOT. That could be 1,600 yards or something ridiculous like that. And then you got a little bit of egg on your face, but that's a 99th percentile. That's a 100th percentile outcome. If, I mean, he's basically albino Mike Evans. He just catches balls deep down the field all the time. And he's big and he's really fast and he's great at contested catches. He's not as polished as Mike Evans is, but that's the type of that's the 99th percentile outcome with Alec Pierce. So if you don't think he's going to hit his ceiling, then you get out of this and you're profiting because you're able to go get a guy like RJ Harvey potentially. You're able to go get Parker Washington plus because Alec Pierce is the new hotness now. And you can really start to acquire some capital and get out of this business. Whereas going into 2024, Alec Pierce was a completely dead asset.
Yeah, you can see we're running player comparison here of the 4 Colts or previous Colts, and you can kind of see where they've been in the 10-day. Pittman's been down a little bit, and actually, looked like Warren kind of dropped in rank, but he's kind of coming back up here. Tight end 4, tight end 5-ish. But you can see kind of the graph here of, Pierce's value just steadily creeping up here on this blue line. And then Downs has had a little peak back up here on the green line, right? So, I find it hard to really buy into what's happening with Pierce right now and say, hey, we're going to just see so much volume and it's going to be awesome. But they also did just give him some money. They also just gave him some money. Gave
him the bag.
So let's see where Alec Pierce was coming in as far as on the draft board here, ADP, and we're in the middle of doing a bunch of drafts, so we'll have some more ADP to add to this really soon. Things will be changing. I believe Pierce was around a 10th round draft pick, and here we are. We got Pierce coming in at 10:02. But now we're seeing him kind of move up into the likes of here's Cooper, who we know he was right next to. Like, all right, here's Travis Hunter. He's at 901, right, in this draft particularly, or not in the particular. That's kind of where he slots in. He's been anywhere from 8 to 11 in the 7 drafts in this set ADP set, right? You would trade Alec Pierce for Travis Hunter, or are you still, holding out?
Oh, at that point, I'm gonna keep Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce plays receiver full time.
But what I'm saying is you would trade Travis Hunter to get Alec Pierce.
Yes.
Okay.
How
about somebody like a Jaden Higgins?
Can I get, if I'm trading, am I trading for Alec Pierce or trading Alec Pierce away?
You're trading Alec Pierce away for Jaden Higgins.
I'd take Jaden Higgins because I can get a plus on top of this. I can get a plus for the sentiment.
Okay.
And we love Jaden Higgins.
How about just your boy, Wan'Dale Robinson, sitting a little bit above that where Pierce is, 911 to 10-2, pretty close. Maybe him going back to the Colts moves this ADP a little. I don't see Pierce's ADP having a giant jump from kind of what we're seeing here, because it kind of stayed the same of what it was, and now he was in limbo of being a free agent. But Pittman being gone maybe does bolster that ADP a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he's going to climb a lot because people see big, fast, deep threat, over 20 yards a catch, back-to-back years. I think Wan'Dale, depending on what Titans do, depending on what Titans do in free agency, or, continue to do or move forward and doing the draft now, because I don't think we're going to add a piece of significance as far as the passing game goes. I'd take Wan'Dale because there's a clearer path. I have less questions about the quarterback play. I still, even though they're saying 8 to 10 targets a game, we know Wan'Dale's a target hog, and he's got the familiarity and the superior quarterback situation, at least, the first half of 2026. So I would go Wan'Dale. I think that I'm not a huge Wan'Dale guy, but I think that it's easier to scheme up. You can plan week to week for him to get the type of volume that you need for him to be good for fantasy.
Yeah. All right. What are we doing with Josh Downs now? Right? We talked a little bit about Pierce. Shane mentioned, is he on the field in 2 wide receiver sets? What is the range of outcomes? Is this like, hey, we've been holding, Pittman's out, it looks like he's going to have a role. The question is do they add anybody? Do you want to get out, or are you just continuing to just bet on the talent?
Hurry up and buy. It's bag season. So he's in a contract year. He's the Colts all-time rookie receptions record holder. He's a really good football player that's just forgotten about right now because he kind of got lost in the sauce with the Colts' historic performance over the first 9 weeks of the season last year, and he wasn't really that involved. But when he was called upon, he was still really effective. I'd buy as much Josh Downs as humanly possible right now.
Okay, so you're all in then.
Yes.
He's coming in at 128 right now. He's up, got a nice little jump here. He's been up 21 spots. He's right around a Tyler Algier here, a Matthew Golden, a Jaden Reed. Let's get some swipes in on Josh Downs then, so we can put our thumb on the scale a little bit here. All right, Josh Downs or an early 26th second?
I go Josh Downs.
That feels like, that's value I could have got on Josh Downs a year ago, I feel like,
Yes.
too. All right, Pittman or Downs?
Josh Downs.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah, you're not a huge Pittman guy, but I do think Pittman could have a really nice, ride off into the sunset with McCarthy and whoever they go with at quarterback there.
I mean, it just gave him that 3-year deal too. So right. I mean, there's points to be made. I'm just a big I believe in Josh Downs.
I do too. What if he's not on the field?
Now, if I had an answer, if I did have a definitive answer on the quarterback situations for both, I could give you I could paint a picture for both, but I'm going to bet on what I believe about Josh Downs right now.
I'm going to go Pittman.
I know you would.
All right, Ty Simpson or Josh Downs?
Josh Downs.
All right.
It's the same as the early 2 question. So if I went
early 2, late first, yeah. If you can get a 1 for Downs, are you selling?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's a price point that didn't exist at any point in 2025. Yeah. Okay. You get out of that business and you can get back into the business if it flops because you still believe in him. He's only going to be 25 years old.
Christian Watson or Josh Downs?
I plead the 5th. I know. The ceiling is just so much higher for Christian Watson than I can create for Josh Downs. It sucks.
Matthew Golden or Josh Downs?
Josh Downs.
I'm going to keep my faith with Golden. Oh, apparently we're going through all the Packers receivers here. Jaden Reed or Josh Downs? I'm going to take Josh Downs on that one.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe
I'm just asking for some discussion here.
I think we can go back for a second. I think if everything stays the same in both offenses, Josh Downs has a better year.
Interesting. But see, that's the subtraction of Romeo Doubs from this equation. But I've been out since somebody told me he was Antonio Brown. You've never seen Antonio Brown. I respect that. Sometimes ridiculous comparisons can make you just irrationally not like a player. I get it. Somebody told me Travis Hunter was Justin Jefferson, and I've been on a hate campaign ever since.
I think equally talented players here.
I agree. I think Jaden Reed's a little bit. Jaden Reed's bigger, and he's got a little bit better of a system. That's why I would go Jaden Reed. But I do believe
the Colts quarterback to start the season. They're saying it's Daniel Jones.
I don't think it
can be Daniel. I don't know how you pay that man some money and then trot him out there week 1.
Right. I think it's probably Anthony Richardson or a stopgap. Maybe. Yeah, it's probably Anthony Richardson.
This guy just said he traded his 2006 103 for a 27 first and 28 first.
Do you? What's the format here?
Yeah, that's a tough thing to, who did you trade with? What does their team look like? Did you just trade it for two back end 7s and 8s? I'd just rather have the high end first.
Yeah. And now would not be the time to make that move. You would want to do that closer to the draft, in my opinion.
Would you trade Isaiah Likely and a 3rd round pick for Jordan Mason? I'm going to assume that this is tight end premium or not. I don't know. And tight end premium, I'm definitely keeping Likely.
Yeah.
And non-tight end premium, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably still Likely.
I could go Jordan Mason if it's non-tight end premium.
So you like Jaden Reed there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is a tough one. This is a good one though.
Michael Wilson or Josh Downs? I'm taking Downs.
Go ahead.
You got Brissett back for Michael Wilson's bag season.
Right. That's kind of like I wanted to push it. I put we're in a school zone with this particular one because you can't speed off in either direction.
High class company says push.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, abstain.
Hey, but what tonight?
We'll go Michael Wilson because the ceiling. We've seen the ceiling.
What tonight has established with me is I'm starting to feel really confident that these crowdsource rankings, at least on the top 200, can compete with anybody's crowdsource rankings, and that's been the goal here. And you guys, every day we come on here, there's more people swiping, more people doing their thing, so we appreciate that. We're about to add a bunch more tools to this toolkit of kind of what's able to be done. You're kind of seeing some of them being used in the background here that aren't available yet. So the ffdynasty.com, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. We got crowdsource rankings for a bunch of different settings. We got rookie rankings and swipes. There's the movers rankings, which the rookies are just kind of the new guys in here. So you're seeing a lot more rookies in the movers than, so that hasn't quite sorted itself all the way out just yet. So, but you are seeing some of the losers on this side be affected, right? You're seeing a Caleb Johnson, you're seeing a Trey Benson be kind of the top two guys that are kind of losers right now. Now, I don't know why Tet's a loser here, but it's probably not a lot. So that's going to be a really effective tool later on down the line here. If we go to 3-day, this might change a little bit. Yeah, you can see Kenny and ETN being at the top of that, Luther Burden being at the top of that, right? Because we got news, so that shows us that that's working properly over the last couple of days. So
the booty warrior being at the top, lots
of different things going on. We're going to have a trade calculator on there soon for free and a paid version. We're going to have the ADP available, comparison tools. We're going to add some more stuff with the trade tools, and the My League stuff is going to have a bunch more features here, all coming down the pipe here really, really soon. So, Chev, is there any other free agent movement here that you want to get to before we kind of move on?
Let us see.
This guy says, would you trade Tootin for Brooks in 211? I would take Tootin.
Jonathan Brooks in the 211?
Mm-hmm.
I would break my finger smashing accept if I received an offer to acquire Tootin for that price.
We got a couple Patreon questions that I want to answer before we wrap up today. And then I think, I want to take a minute to, ask you a very serious question here.
Oh, serious questions.
Does Charlie Kohler's signing,
God damn it,
affect Oronde Gadsden's fantasy value?
I knew this was what was about to happen.
Hang on real quick. Rich says everyone's hyping up Brooks. You can hype up Brooks, but he doesn't need to be involved in a trade with Tootin right now. Hyping up Brooks should mean a 3rd round pick where he was dead a minute ago, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't be anywhere near a 2 business right now for Brooks. We have no idea what's going on there. Hyped player. I think he's a good player. He's had some knee injuries and issues. Like we talked about Garrett Wilson and those guys, not like we've had multiple injuries sustained on both sides. We got a lot of things we got to overcome, and it's a running back, right? So this is a little bit different. This is a see it to believe it thing. I'll throw my hat in the ring for cheapness, but that's too much. So
yeah.
all right, so let's get back to this. Arande is like that, but sometimes he doesn't play like it. Okay, so there was some Twitter stuff going around of there's been so much news and things about blocking tight ends and Sadiqs and Stowers, and now Kohler being added of being a good blocking tight end to this Harbaugh and McDaniels situation. And when things like this happen, I think we try to put everything in one box, or at least especially data guys like to put things in a box, because this is how this goes, right? It's this, then it's this plus this equals this, and if you can't do this, then you can't, then you're going to lose out on this or this, which I think it has to be looked at from more of a who's calling the plays, who's doing what, how are they going to operate first and foremost, and then we can kind of look more into that to help maybe predict what we could see and an outcome, right? And it's all part of a puzzle, and it's all part of a picture, and it's all important-ish. But really, the most important part is kind of having an understanding of, what the ranges can be and why. And so, Charlie Kohler coming in to be to take anything away from Arande Gadsden in the pass game is crazy, and I don't think anybody necessarily is suggesting any of that. But what this is being framed sometimes as, and the only reason we're even talking about this on the live show is just, I know some people sometimes are like, oh, they get on here and they straw man theory this or straw. It's like, no, these are a lot of times when we're having these conversations, these are things that have been being built. Just because you're not seeing it doesn't mean that it's not something that we see consistently. So I just wanted to spend a little time before we wrap up answering some questions on why in this particular situation that the Charlie Kohler situation doesn't mean a ton for Arande Gadsden's value. So Chev, give me a little bit of taste of why, and then I'll chime in at the end and we'll move it along.
Okay. First and foremost, Charlie Kohler is the replacement to Will Dissly. That not the other way around. If you follow Mike McDaniel, South Beach McDaniel, former South Beach McDaniel, now West Coast McDaniel, you know that there's a function for a blocking tight end like a Durham Smythe or a Julian Hill, and then there's a function for the Y, the move tight end. We just saw back-to-back seasons. Darren Waller had a 26.4% targets per out run rate in 2025 with Josh McDaniel on first and second downs, the early downs that Julian Hill will still be out there. And this is, and we're saying that Charlie Kohler or a blocking tight end will take one of these receiving tight ends that line up as a slot off the field. And I just don't think that that's even remotely a possibility. So even with that notion, just to add some numbers to it, Arande Gadsden was a 19% target per out run rate on first and second down. He had 18 of his 49 receptions on first down. And the Chargers last year were the sixth most run heavy team on first down. And then you couple that with the fact that 25 of his receptions came on second down, where they were the second highest pass neutral or game neutral pass script, the second highest rate in the NFL on second down. So you have Arande Gadsden who's out there running routes. He's lining up in the slot. I'm going to pull up the numbers on exactly how much he lined up in the slot on first and second down. But the point being, he's not going to be anywhere near off the field. He has a role. Going back to what we talked about when he got drafted by the Chargers and I was levitating above the cement aisle, they've had a plan for him this entire time, and they've held true to that. Their offensive line got decimated last year. So you were seeing a shell of what the offense could actually be. And I think that overall, this is going to be great. Charlie Kohler is probably going to catch more passes than he ever has in his career, but that just has to be 10. So, and Arande Gadsden is one of the 10 tight ends since 2000 to hit over 650 yards as a rookie since the year 2000. So I think that two things can be true. Charlie Kohler is going to be a positive. He's the Will Dissly replacement. He's the Will Dissly replacement in this offense more so than he's going to be in terms of a threat to Rondé Gaston or a threat to his snap share. And we've seen the NFL start to shift over the course of the last 3 to 4 years, going back to the Laporta breakout, to Brock Bowers, to this past year with Colston Loveland and Rondé Gaston, Harold Fannin, and Tyler Warren. So we're living in a totally new NFL where we had over 13 tight ends record a 50% slot rate. So we have to not be beholden to these priors. And then when you receive the information, don't be a fucking dickhead and try to make up some straw man argument about why you think you're right when the information's right there. Just admit that you're wrong and we can all go about our business. Because if you start trolling, you're going to lose. So all that being said, Rondé Gaston is not a panic sell. This is not bad signal for him. This is just them signing a guy who's excellent at what he does as a blocker, even though coming out of college, he was regarded he was highly touted as a receiver. He had over 500 yards in 3 of his collegiate seasons. I just think that this is something that is, hey, this is a role in our offense. Rondé Gaston has a role in our offense as a basically big slot wide receiver type of guy. And this is going to be good for all parties involved, but not negatively impacting one way or the other in terms of his snap share, route share, targets per route run. If, those of you who find that too hard to understand, not anybody in our stream, because we're all intelligent human beings, except for Dougie, if he's listening. But I just think that there's way too much overblown, and there's just a lot of take lock going on. If you didn't like Rondé Gaston, this is just another reason to rage bait and clickbait and do all the dumb shit that people do on Twitter. Thank you for coming to my Chef Talk.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got Crispy. He says, I think that this is something that I think you gave Charlie Kohler a lot of credit, and I think he deserves just a little bit more. I don't think anybody's, I think what Charlie Kohler can bring to this offense is a very good thing, right? But to me, the way I look at this is like, all right, somebody mentioned AJ Barner up there. Is he a blocking tight end? Like McDaniel, when he went to Miami, right, comes out of the Shanahan tree, right? Generally, from what we've seen from the Shanahan side of things, is the way he uses his tight end is he wants his guy to be a little bit more of a blocking kind of asset, right?
Yes.
So when we went over there, we were excited that, hey, maybe we can get good tight end play from Miami, right? And at the time, I believe you said it was Gesicki that when McDaniel went over to Miami. Yes. And that didn't really come to fruition, right? He wouldn't be considered a blocking tight end anyway, but like it didn't really, but he also had Waddle and Tyreek out there just absolutely doing the damn thing. And he was running a great offense. Then the league kind of caught up with what was going on a lot of ways that the McDaniel types were playing offense and kind of put that cap on everything and kept everything in front of you and just didn't want to get beat deep. Right.
Yes.
And then, we can call it the offense got broken or whatever, but then we saw McDaniels use the tight end in a completely different way than we had seen, a Shanahan disciple kind of go with a tight end. And we saw Jonnu Smith do his thing. And then we saw Darren Waller come out of retirement and do his damn thing. To me, the only question in this whole thing is like, how is McDaniel going to use the tight end in this situation? And does he deem Rondé Gaston a weapon and a mismatch? And I think the answer to that is yes. And the reason that these guys play in the personnel that they do, and the Shanahan and McVay's now, he did a lot of 13 this year, right, is because of how you line up and the mismatches that you can get with lining up in the personnel that they line up, putting more bigger guys on the field, because you kind of have to match that now. And now you have a better mismatch. Also, you're marrying run and pass together, which McDaniel does a really good job of running the ball. So if you put all that in, saying that Rondé Gaston is going to be off the field because Kohler's going to be, I guess, on the field more in 11 is, I think, a little crazy. Like, there's probably a percentage of time that Kohler is going to be on the field in 11, but for the most part, it's probably going to be Rondé Gaston, right? So that's the way I kind of view this whole thing. how is McDaniels going to go scheme that tight end, and does he view him as a critical part of a mismatch? And I'm going to go ahead and say that he does, right? And then on top of that, it just put a Rondé Gaston out there as some awful blocker, I think is a little crazy too, because I think he was fine last year, also a rookie tight end. We've seen over time that this is one of the harder positions to acclimate to in the league, and we got to give these guys time. So Kohler comes in, gives them a better option when we want to run the ball in these bigger sets. You get an extra offensive lineman. I think it's a really good piece for them, but I don't think it has a huge impact on a Rondé Gaston's ceiling throughout the season.
I want to answer something directly. I want to answer Crispy directly here. Okay. So again, you missed the part where we talked about there being 13 tight ends that lined up in the slot more than 50% of the time. The tight end that lined up in line the most while Rondé Gaston was active in 2025 was AJ Barner. And he commanded, in that span, a whopping like 56 targets or something like that. Whereas Rondé Gaston had 69 targets in basically 13 healthy games. He played 2 games where he clearly was not healthy. So again, inline tight ends, like George Kittle's the only true inline tight end that is dominating a target share. We're talking about Kohler stealing red zone work. He's got 3 end zone targets or red zone targets over the course of the last 2 seasons. So it just comes across as complete wish casting that something's going to happen to a Rondé Gaston, whereas there's no evidence that they're assigning him to be an active part of the passing game. Sure, that's what he did in college. But I mean, it just doesn't make. We have 4 years of him not being an effective pass catcher. And you have a guy who's already shown you that he's an awesome pass catcher. And you have an offensive coordinator that shows you that he's willing to hyper target a mismatch in the passing game using one of these big athletic tight ends. So to me, it doesn't make a ton of sense to say, oh, they signed him to completely change his role, and he's going to devalue or take something away from a guy who we've seen the role be completely effective and him be a dominant in stretches. I mean, at one point or another, he was one of the only rookie tight ends since Mike Ditka to go over 400 or 350 yards receiving in a month span of games. So I don't think you put that genie back in the bottle with somebody who's as gifted of a play caller as Mike McDaniel.
I agree with you, man. Rondé Gaston, I think, has a great year and continues to ascend here. So appreciate everybody in the chat here. Let's go over to Patreon or the Discord here and answer a couple of questions on the way out. Feel free to drop more questions in there. We'll answer them if we get to them, if we have enough time here. But the first question is it smart to cash out on Kenny Walker on the hype? He's got an offer of Josh Jacobs and a mid-second for him. Feel like want a little more, but I would like some second opinions. I'm taking Kenny there.
Yeah, I would re-roll and get younger with Kenny. And if I could get out of the Josh Jacobs business because of the age cliff and contract concerns beyond this year, I would absolutely do that.
Yeah, let me see if I can find Kenny real quick. Kenneth Walker has moved all the way up to RB7. So when we first talked about this on Monday, we wanted to see kind of where his rise has been. So he was kind of down here, underneath, and I believe he was at 55, I think, when we were talking about him. So he has really gained some ground here. And our site hasn't even updated. It still says Seattle on there, but still 25 years old. We led this off with a mock draft of the Kansas City Chiefs taking an offensive lineman. That would be even better for Kenneth Walker, good for the potential recovery of Patrick Mahomes in the interim early off in the season. Hey, let's build up this O-line. Let's run it with Kenny. I think what we're going to see from Kenny of being the workhorse and the opportunity that he's going to get here in Kansas City, I think is well worth that price of either trading that or not cashing out right now and just keeping Kenny instead of Jacobs in the mid-second here. So is Drake London and Travion Henderson too much to give up for Gibbs and DJ Moore?
Yes.
So Travion and Drake for Gibbs and Moore.
Yeah, that's too much for me.
It's too much for you.
Yeah. Travion and Drake for Gibbs and DJ Moore. So basically, I'm ignoring the whole DJ Moore part of this and saying you're giving up Travion and Drake London for Gibbs and a mid-second round pick. I don't like that.
Yeah, I think you need. I don't mind getting Gibbs in this scenario. I got to be honest. You're getting the best player in the deal. You're getting the most valuable player in the deal. You're taking any thoughts of any. We think Travion can be really good, and we've seen clips of Travion being very good. And Drake London right now, we don't know where the quarterback is. Yeah, exactly. Killer Potato Fish. He says, unless you kind of have to overpay to get Gibbs. And so this is, I think, a slight overpay. I might try to switch the DJ Moore end around on something else there. But I don't know. It does seem like a high price, but that's what you got to pay to get Gibbs. It's probably a little too much.
It's definitely a little too much for me. We've seen what Travion can be. I mean, I know Ramondre's coming back for another year, but beyond that, there's very little guaranteed money after this year. So we could Travion's back half of the season basically mirrored Gibbs almost identically. I think it was like 880 yards, like 834 yards and 9 touchdowns. So I think that we've gotten ceiling performances from Travion Henderson. It might just be a little bit of delayed production, but I have no reason to believe that he's not going to be a super, just a stud the minute that he has the workload to himself.
How long do we wait for that?
2027.
2027.
I mean, or Ramondre getting hurt or missing time or being, if something weird happens and Vrabel's just like, hey man, you're just not hard enough for me. I'm going to trade you.
Ooh. Pause.
Hey. Play for trade.
I feel like if somebody's giving you some responses on Gibbs, I wouldn't give up on this. I'd try to tweak that DJ Moore and get something, a little younger and slash maybe higher end slightly on that end, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm good. Like here, let's flip back over to the crowdsource rankings here. Let's scroll down to where DJ Moore was, which I think was like 90 something, right? DJ Moore was at 103, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously these are high end first round picks, so maybe somebody doesn't want to do that, right? Maybe they don't want to do like a Stowers or a Cooper or a Denzel Boston, right? Would you rather have a Michael Wilson than a DJ Moore? Does that do anything for you?
I would, yes, personally.
Would that help in that trade situation?
Yeah. That would help a lot.
Yeah, you would rather.
Yeah.
How about Alec Pierce?
Definitely.
Than DJ Moore?
Yeah. Alec Pierce, Parker Washington, the Omar Coopers of the world. Jordan Addison's way down there. I don't the sentiment on him is still really good though.
Yeah.
Let me answer this real quick. 107 to 201 and the 203. 107, bud.
DJ Moore is a flyer because Kyler Murray is gone. I don't know what that means.
Oh, he's saying I think he's saying because Kyler Murray's gone, he would rather have Michael Wilson. Or Michael Wilson would be a more valuable piece in that trade.
Gotcha. I don't mind the Jordan Addison there of just like, hey, we know what that is. The value is just suppressed right now because he is a drunk driver, according to
he is
who earlier commented that I look disturbed and had never played football before, which I'm not disturbed and I did play football, but Okay.
What is
Appreciate you
happening?
sticking
Where
around.
did that come from? Where was I when this shit was going on?
You were on your Gadsden diatribe. I was
Oh.
like, cool, bro. Appreciate you.
Oh yeah, I definitely blacked out. I definitely blacked out a little bit while I was talking about Rondé Gaston.
I'm generally a pretty happy guy. I mean, I like to talk some shit here and there, but you know, my wife tells me I'm handsome, so whatever.
I'm a scholar. I'm handsome. People like me.
But I do like adding somebody like a Jordan Addison to that trade instead of DJ Moore is just like repressed value, but we know it's a good player. I would like that a little more. Like you know, obviously I like Ricky Pearsall a lot, so I would prefer kind of something like that in that deal. But yeah, it's an overpay, but you got to pay, and somebody's responding with a trade with Gibbs in it. So I'm gonna keep playing with that hook, right, and see kind of what we can do there. I'm gonna exhaust a whole bunch of things to see what I can do if somebody's willing to offload Gibbs, because that's a tough spot to be in. All right, go ahead, Chev.
I made a trade. I gave up. I'll tell you exactly what I gave up to get Gibbs in a 0.25 carry per carry league. To get Gibbs, I gave up a 27 first, Ricky Pearsall. It's also start 2 tight ends, Sam Laporta, and a 27 first to get Gibbs, Gunnar Helm, and like a third.
So I mean that's a decent amount. You gave up a 27 first, Pearsall, and what else? Laporta and start 2 tight end.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, I have Tyler Warren. I had Tyler Warren, George Kittle, and do I have Gaston in that league? No. Anyway, I've got the depth to make it work.
This guy says he's sending Genty and a second for Kenny Walker and a receiver. What receivers would we consider between Rome, AJ Brown, and T?
Rome.
Yeah, if I'm making a choice in there, I want Rome Odunze is my guy. I still got a lot of faith in him yet. Yeah. But I think I'm sticking with Genty there. But
we've talked about this briefly at various points early in the offseason, but I think Genty's about to do some really diabolical stuff with being a Kubiak back.
Yeah. All right. This is the last question here. This is Rome Odunze 105 and a 28 first. Now he didn't give me any context. Oh, it's 1 QB, no tight end premium. Actually, I could probably share my screen just so you can see this.
Yeah.
I don't know how well you can see that.
I mean, good enough.
We got Rome Odunze, the 105, and a 28 first. Let me see if I can. There we go. And then Dalton Kincaid, McMillan, a 27 first, a 207, a third. There's a lot of stuff in here. 110, 207, a 27 first, a 27 third, McMillan and Dalton Kincaid, or Rome Odunze 105 and a 28 first.
Is 1 QB no tight end premium?
Mm-hmm.
I'd go Rome in the 2 first.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, no tight end premium basically just kind of nukes Dalton Kincaid's appeal there. So it's the first year. It's essentially the first, the 27 first, the 26 110, the second and the third in that range. We've talked about kind of some of those guys that are in that range. 207s, Chris Bells, the Chris Bells, Emmett Johnson's probably going to be back in that range, who I love. The 110, that's Denzel Boston, potentially Eli Stowers chair. It's not tight end premium.
It's not tight end premium, and it's not super
Jonah
flex.
Coleman or whatever, Mike Washington, if you want to go that far, if Mike Washington slips that far. But yeah, I would just, we all think Rome is still really good at football. He's in a great environment, and you're getting the earlier pick to where you could get another receiver or choose your own adventure at the 105. But one of those guys is likely going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm on the Rome side on that one. So that's all the questions from the Discord. I feel like there was a Sadiq question somewhere. Is Sadiq still who I'm targeting at the 106 in a no tight end premium league? Not for me.
That's tough, man. He would have to have the nut landing spot.
Yeah.
Just optimal outcome.
Yeah, there was, I think Concepcion easily slides over him at 6 in that regard.
Yeah, non-tight end premium for sure.
Non-premium, yeah.
Yeah. He'd be back into the first, closer to the back end of the first for me.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, look at you. You stuck around. We're stupid and we're idiots, but you're in here commenting and enjoying yourself. I appreciate
I don't think he was talking about us being stupid. Or was
I asked him who was stupid. And he said both of y'all.
Oh, good. Good.
Y'all are stupid.
Yeah.
You are. Okay. You are.
I know you are, but what am I?
All right, let's look at this one. I got time for another question or two, and then I got to get out of here. 12 by 9, half point PPR, half point premium plus. Sent Garrett Wilson, ETN. Oh, this already sounds like a math problem from the SATs. Garrett Wilson, ETN, Flowers, and a 27-second for Loveland and the 101 yesterday. Lineup. No May.
Sent Garrett Wilson, ETN, Flowers, and a 27-second for Loveland and the 101 and 0.5 premium.
I don't know why it says no May, but I'm assuming it's just you have May, Hertz, Walker, Love, Puka, Neighbors, Nico, Loveland, Bowers.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the price you got to pay to get the 101 in Colston Loveland. Sure. There's a chance that just by accumulation, you lose that trade. I mean, I like Zay Flowers a lot more moving forward.
Well, he's got a pretty high-powered team for the most part. Now you're adding Love to it. And you gave up Garrett Wilson and Flowers, but you added a really solid tight end and you got a premium, and it's half point, so you're getting the extra premium, your full point on the tight end, right? That's the way I'm reading that. Yeah.
So no. He's saying it is his lineup. I'm so confused.
Yeah, he's saying I'm assuming he sent away Garrett Wilson, ETN, and Flowers in a second. He got Loveland in the first. And then that's his lineup below of kind of what he was sending over. And then it's half point PPR and a half point premium. So the tight end's a full point PPR and everybody else is half.
Yeah. That's a great trade. You'd have to cut, you're ahead on value and what that does for in terms of boosting your lineup.
Yeah. Evan Neal and Big yeah, in front of Scatman is going to be fun watch for the year. I just listened to Scatabo on Rich Eisen today. I called it in the truck for a second, and it was good. It was fun. It just made me be like, I don't even care what goes on with, like, I'm just a fan. I'm in on Scatabo. I'm just going to ride this ride, and it's going to be fun.
Well, my biggest frustration is just being so afraid of that offense just being complete ass cheeks that I didn't get enough Cam Scatabo last year. And I'm actively trying to rectify that now.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, nobody's trading with Baltimore anymore. I don't know if you heard.
Baltimore just did some dirty shit today.
Yeah. Wild. That's wild. That's a thing that happened.
That didn't pass the smell test at all. So all right. We got to wrap this one up. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We're live every Wednesday. Come check us out. We got all sorts of pre-recorded stuff. If you haven't checked out the ffdynasty.com, please do so. Participate in the crowdsource rankings, or you don't have to. You can just check the crowdsource rankings out. But we got a lot of tools coming that are going to really help you guys out through the fantasy season. We're hoping to give you all the tools that you can go through there and decipher kind of what guys are worth and what trades you might want to make and different avenues that you can go. And we're trying to give you everything that we can possibly give you all in a one-stop shop over there. So appreciate you. Scatabo is a flash in the pan. Maybe so. But I like the dude. He's really got me all. I'm fully bought into the human. I really like it. So I'm with it.
There's a reason why we gave him nicknames before he ever played a snap in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, come back with the question a little earlier next time, and I'll make sure we get you in there. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Oh, shit.
Idiot.